Um, let's move on from stuff we know is going to end to stuff that might not. Question mark, I guess. Deadline talked to Fox Network executive Rob Wade about the futures of TV shows of like So You Think You Could Dance, Spin the Wheel, and Mental Samurai. He was asked why they haven't decided to renew either of those shows for more seasons. He says, "We obviously have a lot of other shows. We have to consider all of those as a group. So You Think You Could Dance, Spin the Wheel, Mental Samurai," he said. I can't pick up everything. I need to leave some room to take shots. And then when they talk about So You Think You Could Dance because of the ratings being good and the Emmy nominations it got, I think they do a good job. I think it continues to perform ratings-wise overnight. It's L7s, as we were talking about earlier on the show about DVR ratings. That's your DVR rating right there. They're very good. When you compare it with other shows at TV at the moment, it does very well, but we haven't made a decision yet. They are in a big pickle when it comes to their schedule. Fox only runs 2 hours Monday through Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday, for prime time. Friday is being overtaken completely starting in October because SmackDown, WWE Smackdown, is moving from USA to Fox. So that takes out a whole day. So, and that kind of neuters what shows go where. And with various stuff playing out, what do you see for the future of shows like Mental Samurai and Spin the Wheel and So You Think You Could Dance when it comes to ratings, which they were okay, not great.
They're
Spin the
okay,
Wheel is
but they're
doing well
doable.
for itself over the summer, and So You Think You Dance as well. What does your crystal ball read?
I think they just grew too old. I would personally love to see Mental Samurai come back because I really like the show. Um, but I think the shows really have the problem that I think a lot of game shows have, and they're really not adjusting to it too. Not all of them, obviously, but they're viewing too old, and that's really not sustainable for a show early on in its lifespan. Because if you're not hitting a younger demographic, how does this have any kind of long-term outlook in terms of the show and the money that they're spending to build these kinds of sets and have these kinds of crews for this kind of thing? I just don't think it's going to happen for any of them. I just don't.
And yet, you have on Fox ratings for So You Think You Could Dance do really well. MasterChef does well, and Spin the Wheel just this past Thursday pulled in 4 million viewers and was tied for fifth in the 18 to 49. The only things that beat it: MasterChef on Fox, The Wall, The Wall tied, Hollywood Game Night tied for third, and Holy Moly tied for third.
Yeah, the Holy Moly is doing a lot better than I thought it would. And I mean, not that it's a bad show because I think it's a good show, but I'm very surprised it's getting the kind of reaction it did. I guess it's kind of like a revival of Wipeout of sorts. So I guess that helps in the nostalgia respect because I
Sure.
think that's the secret to TV right now. If you're gonna bring something new in, it should have something that's new that's old and familiar to people in some spiritual respect. Doesn't mean it have to be all that way, but something relatively recently, probably late '90s, early 2000s, incorporate that in your show, and you will win. I think that's the secret sauce right now.
Right.
Notice all the shows that do that, though, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a show that's new and successful, or at least newly successful, that does not fit this criterion.
Uh, well, Spin the Wheel could consider because it pulled in 4 million viewers.
Yeah. I mean, but that's, I mean, again, that has something that's kind of nostalgic in it with the, even if it's not operated remotely the same way, Wheel of Fortune and The Wall.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same as The Wall and the Wheel of Fortune, obviously, either, but I mean, it certainly incorporates elements of those that people know and are familiar with.
Hmm. And it's like, what do you do? And I just don't know what you do. And we're talking about going to the scheduling. You conceivably could put some shows on Saturday, but that's just kind of a dead spot. And they kind of use Saturday to rerun shows that they aired earlier in the week because nobody watched TV on Saturdays anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I wish there was a way to count the number of people that pirate these shows. Like, say what you will, I think that's growing and growing because it's ultimately a microcosm of the streaming TV platform problem. Because remember,
Yeah,
Netflix, ooh, this is great. I can watch all these shows. Now we have Disney Plus, we have Hulu, we have Amazon Prime. Again, these are cool, but now you have to spend as much as you do with cable, more than you do with cable to get about the same amount of programming. This is part of the problem. And ultimately, it harkens back to Standard Oil with John D. Rockefeller, who owned all the companies that became Exxon Mobil, all this good stuff conglomerated into one. But no one wants to spend that. And this is, I mean, all of these numbers are going to wind up being corrupted because they don't understand what consumers want at the core. They're slow to adapt because, and it's nothing against this generation, but you consider the people who are working high up in the executive offices, they didn't have to deal with all these options. And as a result, you're kind of seeing that reflected upon what's happening within demographics, what's being reflected upon with how these programs are being broadcast, and why TV numbers are down. It's a real shocker to me.
right.
Not.
But how? I'm pretty sure they have the information at Hulu when it comes to the primetime game shows because that's where a lot of them end up. Pressure Luck is there, Card Sharks is there, Match Game is there, Holy Moly is there, Spin the Wheel is there,
Yeah.
Hollywood Game Night is there, uh, and The Wall is there. I'm sure you could get numbers on who watched those, and that could help determine what you want to do.
Yeah, or not do,
Yeah.
depending.
In all honesty, you also have to look at the other shows you have on the schedule as well. Sundays are untouchable. You're not going to move anything off of Sunday, and that's animation domination, so you have no reason to. Uh, you have the Ramsey shows. I think losing Fridays to SmackDown spells doom for Hell's Kitchen. That's kind of a Friday staple. That's where it had its home to start the TV season, and now it's gone. So they either have to find a place to put it on Monday through Thursday because you can't put it on Fridays anymore. And they've already taped 2 seasons, so now what do you do?
I would just try to, I guess, I would just try to put it on like a streaming platform and with one of the seasons, see how that does, and then decide from there. It gives you a little bit of a time to decide what to do as well.
Or what you could do is make a deal with a network like the CW,
Yeah, you could do that too. That's very viable.
and they would
I
take
guess,
it.
I just wonder if it would get the numbers by doing that. That's why I would want to experiment with the streaming platform because that way you're being more forward thinking and you're buying a little bit of time with it as well that way.
Mm-hmm. Like I think you could do it with the second season because that seems to be just like a generic season. Whereas the upcoming season that they've promoted is a experience versus passion. Like you're going to have a bunch of 21, 22 year olds who are very passionate versus uh, other chefs that have quite a bit more experience in the kitchen, like they're in their late 20s, early 30s, stuff like that. So I think what they might have to do is they might have to take a playbook from the CW. Because what the CW does is they have their schedule in quarters that is not Riverdale or the DC shows. Like, you could take a show and say we're going to run it these type of shows over the summer. Like, if they renew Spin the Wheel, which I think might happen because the ratings and the demographics are too good, especially the 1849 demographics, because
Yep.
according to Nielsen, I know Nielsen, but that's how we have to get the ratings
Honestly,
now.
short of anything better. Yeah, what can you do? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good pairing between MasterChef and Spin the Wheel for the summer. So I think you could do that. Because that's an easy 4 to 5 million viewers, and it tops whatever else is out there. Because it beat everyone else. Then you have Mental Samurai. Well, I think that might be a show you might dump to CW or stream or just get rid of. Because with shows like Empire, Star, and the big thing is Last Man Standing, which got Boffo ratings. It's coming back along with Cool Kids, which was Vicki Lawrence, Martin Mull, Jamie Farr, because that did well paired up with Last Man Standing, because you're going to have that team up again. They're just in a pickle, and I don't envy Fox one bit on having to figure out everything. Spending $400 million a year for SmackDown.
Yeah,
And
I mean, they've gotten themselves into this, honestly. And I think the problem is too. I'm kind of worried about where they are long term, honestly, as well. So you don't want to lock too much in these days. You want to go short and short and short because viewer demographics are rapidly changing about what they want and how they want it.
mm-hmm. and plus Fox is also in a huge pickle. Either they leave it on with SmackDown because on USA the ratings aren't that good. WWE programming has been on like a 5-year schneid.
Yikes.
What's hurt them is we got to talk a little wrestling here. The TV product has been bad. It's been stale for the longest time, and they've done nothing to freshen it up. Um, Relying on older stars, and they haven't done anything to make people care about the new talent that they have. It's like you're relying on nostalgia, and the problem with that is Fox is wanting to rely on it too. But how far can that take you? It's like short term you might be okay, but long term you're screwed. And that's the way it's going. So if it doesn't do well enough, if it gets below 2 million viewers, that like take a look at Spin the Wheel and MasterChef. They're not paying 400 million a year for those shows. Nowhere near.
Can you imagine MasterChef on $400 million a year?
That's a
That's
lot of
crazy.
lobster.
Yeah. And a
I
lot
mean,
of Thermidor and Chateaubriand.
Thermidor. That's like
Yeah.
40. Both of those shows combined, it's like 40 million for 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Fox is kind of screwed on this one. So you think You Can Dance might stay because it's popular? Spin the Wheel is going to stay because of the demographic and it pairs well with MasterChef. But Mental Samurai, I think, is gone.
I think it's a shame too. I mean, I probably am not eligible, but man, I would love to be on that. It's like it's such easy money for what they're asking. Like I don't say that about too many shows, but man, that is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Easy trivia will be easy. Easy memorization is easy.
Yep. But they'll have the Masked Singer on the 25th.
Oh yeah, well, the Masked Singer, of course. I just wonder if that. I wonder if that was just a one. I actually don't think it is because there's so many people you can do with that. I just wonder if it's a one-off phenomenon with how it views people.
Hmm.
I get the feeling it won't be. I think they'll try to up and up the stakes with who they have masked. So
Right. Um, Speaking of Fox, I'll just mention this quickly. Paradise Hotel canceled after 7 nights.
yeah,
And was just like, eh. I mean, we already had something like that was heavily promoted in Love Island. And we had Temptation Island on USA. Um, you just didn't need Paradise Hotel. It just seemed like a waste. But yeah, that's all I got. It was just, there's no need. And I think that might be the worst thing with uh, a show. Like, if there's no need, why have it? Like, after, it's just like revivals. If it wasn't that great in the first place, why revive it? Temptation Island, I get, because it was very popular, and the only reason it got kicked off is because of backlash, and Markel Wahlberg didn't want to do it anymore. And you couldn't find a good star of drama than Markel Wahlberg. But he's back on Temptation Island, and that show did well. That's going to get a season 2 on USA, which I think might be on Tuesday nights now that SmackDown's gone. But we must move on.